Hello, my name is Dr. Preston Hill, and I have had the incredible privilege and joy of winning the paper award for the RefoRC Paper Award submissions following the 10th Annual RefoRC Conference pertaining to the Long Reformation in this year, 2021. My paper for this award was entitled The Death of the Soul, Christ's Descent into Hell and the Thought of Calvin, Lefèvre, and Cusa. In this paper, I explored the historical and thematic continuities between the 16th century reformer John Calvin and a generation prior to him, Jacques Lefèvre de Taple, and or even earlier in the Middle Ages, Nicholas of Cusa. And all of these figures wrote very similar things and came to similar conclusions on the topic of Christ's descent into hell. This topic of Calvin's interpretation of the descent into hell has often been presented in secondary scholarship as if Calvin interprets it as a metaphor for the crucifixion, and that Calvin came up with this interpretation almost completely on his own. And the more I dug into Calvin research for this paper and for my own doctoral thesis, the more I realized this is clearly not the case. Calvin does not think that the descent into hell is a metaphor for the cross. He thinks it is actually something more significant, a greater moment than the crucifixion, because it refers to the psychological adversity in Christ's soul that he experienced as a part of his atoning mission. And when it's set in this broader context, one realizes that Calvin did not say this. It was not original to him. He did not say this. He was not the first to say this, that in fact, this is part of a long Reformation process, beginning centuries before Calvin in the Middle Ages with the German Cardinal Nicholas of Cusa, who is experiencing something of a revival currently in historical and theological scholarship. Nicholas of Cusa, his works were compiled by the French humanist scholar Lefèvre, and Lefèvre directly cites Cusa as his inspiration for the way he interpreted Christ's descent into hell in a way that is very similar to Calvin. And so in this paper, I went back and explored what are the sermons that Nicholas of Cusa preached, where he first claimed that Christ suffered not a victorious descent into hell, but the death of the soul, the second death, that Christ actually suffered in hell on Holy Saturday. And Lefèvre claiming a very similar thing, but then revising his claims because he received critiques from the Sorbonne theological faculty. But when the time finally comes for the Reformation and Luther shakes up Europe, Calvin now comes on the scene as, in some ways, the perfect person to have taken the insights of Cusa and Lefèvre and encoded it in Reformation catechesis. And so this paper really contributes to the long Reformation with one particular topic, Christ's descent into hell, and seeing how Calvin's theology on this point, we can understand it in greater detail when we set it in context in this way. And again, it was just such an incredible joy to complete this paper for this RefoRC Paper Award. I am absolutely thrilled to have received the award. I'm very grateful for all the conveners of the conference and all the work that everyone does at RefoRC. And thank you so much again. I look forward to contributing more in the future.